What up, Challenge fans? We are Final Alliance Podcast. We just finished watching the Challenge, Spies, Lies, and Allies, Episode 2. What an episode.
Bertha! How great was Bertha? Terrible name. Great episode.
Who's Bertha?
Yeah,
Apparently there's
exactly.
a new girl named Bertha.
Bertha. That's the name of the episode. But oh my goodness. Thank you all for following us and podcast and listening to the podcast. But for those of you Challenge fans like us, great episode. For those of you who are just along for the ride and you're like, I like this thing, I remember watching it, and now you're watching it again, or you just started watching it, you've got to be hooked up this episode, right?
It was amazing. It had all the things. And
everything.
And, you know, it's funny that you mentioned that. My friend Andrew reached out to me the other day, and he said, you know, hey, thanks for the podcast. And, you know, I thought that was nice. I'm like, hey, my friend's watching this, like, being a good friend. And he's like, nah, like, I've watched this show for years. I've tried to get my wife to watch it, and she thought it was just all about the drama. She didn't realize that it had so much more to it than that. So she's watching now, and now she's hooked. So I'm so excited that there's more Challenge fans out there, because you know, we love this show. We've been watching for years, but you know, you forget that there's new people that are picking it up right now.
Well, she's not wrong. There's drama.
Oh yeah.
But there is so much more to this episode. And how great of an episode too. I really can't remember. And again, I think we talked about this on our podcast two episodes ago. It's not that we remember every episode from every season, but I don't remember an episode 2 this good, packaged this well.
Absolutely. Episode 1 was good. We were excited, you know, because we've got, you know, new season starting, and you know, we're meeting all these new people, and it was a good start. It was, you know, I'd give it like a B- start. Today was like an A, like a solid A.
So good. And the best part about this is, in full transparency to our audience, is that our plan is always to watch it together. But, you know, family, whatever else, we didn't get to watch it. So now I watched it at home and then came here as soon as I could and got here to do this with you. So why don't you guide me through the episode as you saw it, and I'll just fill in how things went.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, and we have to say, like, the minute we saw each other, we just looked at each other and we're like, good episode.
So happy.
Like, it's just exciting.
Yep.
This is what I love about the show. It's so good. So, yeah, let's walk through it. Episode starts, you know, following the elimination win of Corey L. and Michelle.
Yes.
And they have their new partners. We met our new guy, Ed, from the circle, because our poor Nami had to go home, and we don't know why. So Ed comes in, and we don't really know anything about him other than he's on the circle. I think he did that he was the guy that was on with his mom.
He was on with his mom, yeah.
But come to find out, this guy is really smart. He's like, I have a, you know, Ivy League engineering degree. Yeah. And I feel like such a jerk, because I just see this happy-go-lucky, fit kind of country boy, and I kind of made assumptions that maybe he wasn't that smart. But yeah, dude's pretty smart.
Yeah, I definitely made those assumptions, and I don't apologize for him, whatsoever. Yeah.
So, you know, we meet Ed, and, you know, they're just celebrating their win and stuff. We see our buddy Gabo. He's trying to meet Ed, and of course he asks him what his favorite kind of music is.
Yeah.
And then Gabo does say that, you know, he grew up watching Jersey Shore, and his dream has always been to be on American television. Sure. And here he is. And I don't know why, but it like got me a little emotional. Like, I'm like, oh my God, this is your goal, man. You know, I mean, his goal is probably not to win $1 million, but hey, he made it onto American television.
Yeah. and those are going to be the moments that Gabo's going to give you, and that's about it. Until he finally gets the game, or some way he gets into an alliance and they just, you know, cut him for some reason. But until then, those are going to be your moments with Gabo.
Yeah, and I will embrace them while he's here, because I think it's going to be probably a short time.
Yes.
Then it goes into this full-on dance party, and they're just having so much fun. They're all dressed cute and, you know, having a good time together, enjoying each other's company.
Sure.
We do see Tori does like this dance move. It's like Kels is sitting down, and then she does this like handstand dance move with him.
Sure.
Which, okay, good for you. And then, she says, she has kind of a crush on him, and they snuggle, and, we see that there's obviously this bond between the two of them.
We saw that was going to happen.
Oh, for sure.
And from even episode 0, before episode 1, that there was going to be something like he wanted to be partners with her because he did have an attraction to her, but also she's a great competitor. Kels is not dumb. That's one thing.
No, he's not. Then, end of the night, Nellie goes into Ashley's little bunk bed. They have some fun together.
There you go.
Amanda makes a point that, Ashley's one of my best friends, but she's crazy.
Well, yes.
It's like Stranger Things. She's our friend and she's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she's like, Nelson's my friend too, and this could be bad because she could make his life a living hell. Which is absolute foreshadowing to what we see later.
I'm glad you just said that because that's what I was going to say, foreshadowing. Because the same thing with Kels and Tori. Fessy and Tori used to have something going on.
Right.
Now, they don't really allude to that in the episode, but the foreshadowing is there. Same thing what you just brought up about Nelson and Ashley and being crazy and whatever else, but we'll break it down. We'll talk about it later. But there is a lot of foreshadowing in here. Now, so you have to remember, this is going to be brought up later. Writers, producers, what are they trying to do? Are they being transparent? Is the foreshadowing there? That's for us to figure out. It'd be like, I see that. Now, as you watch it, as you're going along, you don't really see it so much, but when you look as the episode gets further on, you're like, oh, I remember the first half hour.
Yes.
So, you got to take it in different increments as they give it to you.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely touch more on Nellie here in a second. There's a room of vets. We got some of the Big Brother people, Josh, Casey. Then we got, Nani, Devin. And they said, look, let's work together. And Josh right away is like, let's get Kels out. Kels is a good competitor. Apparently, he's been talking about how the rookies are strong. Let's go against the vets. Something that happened similar in the last episode. But Kels is very obviously a good competitor. Like, he just looks strong. We see him working out. I didn't realize how big he really was until he's working out with Tori, and Nellie walks down. And I don't really know how tall Nellie is, but he looked so little next to Kels. Like, that guy is tall and strong and, heck of a competitor from what we've seen so far. Then we see this cute little scene with Esther and Fessy, and Esther saying, she's nervous. And Fessy was actually very kind and supportive to her, which I was not expecting.
Yeah.
Of course, my mind is like, well, the minute she doesn't perform, that's going to change.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
But as of now, he's being very nice. He says, it's all good. We just got to communicate and focus. She's so sweet. She says, I'm getting something to eat. You want something to eat? Brings up it's Ramadan again. It's daytime. He's fasting. My mind initially at that point went to, what if they did an eating challenge during Ramadan? Wouldn't that be like the jerkiest thing of all time?
It would.
There's no way, right?
Terrible.
They couldn't do it.
Yeah, the production probably would not do that. But I get your point. That's a great question, and I think they have to be. They have to be obviously, aware
conscious of that.
Yeah, and
for sure.
to not do that. And that's a great question. And you would hate to see you're automatically disqualified.
Right.
Like that's in this day and age, that just isn't going to happen.
No way. But I did think about it, and you wonder. I brought this up last week. How many days left does he have? Because it's 30 days.
Yep.
So where are we at in that? Are we at the end or are we at the beginning?
Yeah, and we'll find out. It's actually something maybe we should be looking forward to. How many times he says Ramadan every episode until he doesn't say it anymore, and then we'll know.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. Although, to be honest with you, if I couldn't eat during the day and there was a reason for it, I would probably mention it all the time, too.
Yeah, you'd be annoyed. Yeah, you'd be annoyed. And he's a little upset, so.
So then we have the challenge.
Okay.
And it is cool. It just looks so cool. It's one we saw in the preview.
Yep.
And apparently we're passing notes to each other.
Yeah.
We saw it in the preview. So TJ comes up in this black sports car. What kind of sports car was that? I have no idea.
Producer made a good point though about eating. We know that Fessy might not eat anyway. Depending on he might just fake it or whatever else just to make people.
For sure, but he's not.
Or he would.
Fessy is a lot of things, and we have similar opinions on him.
Sure.
I don't think he would pretend it was for his religion if it wasn't actually for his religion.
Yeah, sorry,
I think that's where he does draw the line.
I know. Sorry to interrupt, but yes, okay.
So TJ shows up in this black sports car. We see this helicopter. They're on like a runway. Sun is shining. Looks like a good freaking challenge. I'm just excited.
I love TJ, right? Mm-hmm. Does he really need the title, the handler, underneath his name?
I did see that. Yeah. They're really going with this like theme.
Yes.
They've really kind of overdone it with the theme, I think, a little bit.
The agency compromised or deactivated the handler. I mean, TJ, the handler.
I'm your handler.
Yeah, nah. Anyway, he looks good, comes out of the car. That's
He's got a T-shirt on, which back to old school. Love it.
Loved it. Good looking in that baby blue.
Yes.
It's not going to be the last time I say TJ's good looking, by the way.
Yeah. He's a good looking dude, for
He's
sure.
very good.
Absolutely. So this is Heli heist. Mm-hmm. So again with the theme, so they got to get these gems the fastest. So one partner is up in the helicopter, the other one is in an SUV with the sunroof open. Mm-hmm. People from the helicopter are throwing these gems down to their partners, then they collect them, and then they run to the finish line. Whoever has the most gems and whoever does it the fastest is our winner. Then sometimes when people are running, there's an explosion behind them.
There's an explosion,
that
yeah.
was
Once
pretty
the
cool.
second one comes by, they're using the explosion. The Heli heist, I thought it was awesome. Mm-hmm. I will say this, and it really a lot has to do with the edit. Mm-hmm. But I mean, Emmanuel, he was like one of the first to go or second, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dude looked like he was trucking.
Oh yeah.
But it's more like when you get like the overhead shot and you're like, oh my goodness. Ed looked like he was trucking. Mm-hmm. CT was trucking.
Yes.
And then when I think that might have been one of the first couple. Can you go down the list? I'm sorry. Yeah.
So just like last week, sometimes we see amounts that they get, sometimes we don't.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it seemed like the female competitor was in the helicopter and the male competitor was in the SUV because at the end, the foot race, it's about time. Mm-hmm. So Jeremiah and Tatcha go first. By the way, that woman can dress. My goodness.
Uh-huh.
And they're cute. They seem to be having a good friendship. They're doing this whole
dance,
they
did that. I like that.
And it was really cute. So they had a really solid start. They got 18 gems. Corey and Tori got 18 gems, but Jeremiah did beat Corey when it came to the foot race. Mm-hmm. Then we have Corey and Bettina, and that might have been my favorite moment of the entire episode.
Those two together.
When they were getting ready to do the challenge.
Okay.
They're in their little interview outside and they're talking, and then Bettina starts doing that laugh that you just love, that you love so much.
This is when we do the Corey cut to the thing of Bettina.
They're
laughing.
giggling together, and then he starts hearing her do her kind of it's like honking, Yeah. And there's a moment when he's still laughing, but his eyes kind of go dead.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
And then he's like,
because it continues for way too long.
And just stops everything and looks at her. I think I then did the Bettina because that was hilarious.
I know it's
oh my gosh, it was so funny.
I know it's not similar, but then the first thing that came to my head was it's no shock that Bettina rhymes with hyena. All right, the laugh.
Dang, yep.
So it was over the top too long, and that's why his eyes went dead and they looked at her because it's like, is she still laughing? But then there are people out there that keep laughing. They don't know why they're laughing, but they're laughing at themselves and type thing. And I think Bettina is the type that she can laugh about herself, and she's she can make good television. Yeah, she can make good television.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Then Manuel and Casey, they did a really good job. That's the one you said. So they get 28 gems. Mm-hmm. He's trucking. Big T and Tommy. And then Emmy and Ed are at the same time, and we have two women that are kind of afraid of heights.
Okay.
And we don't see really anything from Big T because in seasons past, anything with heights, she gets very emotional because she's afraid, It was overshadowed by Emmy's reaction.
Yeah. So, but Tommy did say, "Hey, Big T, I'm down here, redhead, or whatever else." Now, the Emmy and Ed situation. This is where I thought it got interesting, and when we're talking about this challenge. Usually, in these situations, producers or APs or interns or whatever else, they will do these challenges ahead of time.
Right.
Ed says, I'm doing this, and the sun is coming down in my eyes. So the people that went before them, do they have an advantage? And why not run that thing the other way when you've already probably done this before? Why not run away from the sun? Because that has to be a challenge. Because think about this, and that's the first thing I thought. I'm like, Ed's got a point, because somebody then has to pick up all those gems that were dropped. So, and then they need to and while they're doing that, they need to reload the pyro.
Oh, yeah.
How long does that take? Eventually, that sun's coming down more and more. So that was an interesting thing to me. Like, maybe those are the type of things you need to think of when if it ever comes down to when they say the agency gets to make the order next time, that might be an advantage. But this time it was a random draw.
Right.
I just don't understand it. Since you've done that before, production or AP or interns, why not go away from the sun? That's all.
Or if they were trying to make it go a certain way, that they put people that they didn't think were going to do well in that sun situation. I don't know.
Yeah.
But when he mentioned the sun, the thing that came to my mind is, these people are never allowed to wear sunglasses. There's a lot of times in challenges past where they're in the desert, stuff, it's like so bright. I absolutely, when I'm outside, need sunglasses, just in general. So not to be able to have any of that protection must be difficult.
Yeah,
or a hat, or you know what I mean?
True, you're right. They never have them do any of that. Not even like in the finals or anything like that to be out there. They have to deal with the elements.
It has to be that they want to be able to see their eyes for the cameras.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of a bummer that they didn't get to see. The sun was coming in his eyes. So then, they finish, Emmy and Ed do, and Emmy is just having a hard time. She is so down on herself. Sure. She's like, I wrote down next to it, I said, losing her S, because she was. Yeah. She got very emotional. She's like, I feel like I'm the weakest link.
Yep.
Ed is very encouraging and very sweet. Anissa gives her hugs, and she's like, look, if she just were to harness this energy into the challenge, she would be unstoppable.
Okay.
Then we see a bunch of people in the middle. You know what I mean? Just like last
fun.
time.
That's what I wanted to get at about these guys that they show them trucking, just running, and then they just kind of speed it up. And I was like,
they did.
I like that stuff. I liked watching the foot race and everything else. I want to see I
don't even have. Oh yeah, CT and Berna I did get, but then right after CT and Berna and Ashley and Huey, then the next 1, 2, 3, 4 groups.
Yeah.
Just. Bzz, 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 bzz.
Just
until we get to Fessy and Esther and Josh and Amber.
There you go. Yep. So, but we got to get to Josh and Amber though, till we even get to that point though. Mm-hmm.
So that is at 31 minutes in.
Yep.
Fessy and Esther are gonna, it's their turn, and then also Josh. But then they mention that Josh's partner Lauren, which I don't remember, she was deactivated. Mm-hmm. To which I'm kind of like, okay, now this is 2 people deactivated. We don't have reasons why.
Well, this is on us because we haven't done our half-ass internet research, but now we need to figure this is our homework for next show.
Well, I don't think they can post it until after the episode airs, because Nam last week was just posting watch the challenge, and then after the episode airs.
Somebody's got to find something.
Right. So maybe I need to look into that. We'll find out maybe for next week. So Josh needs a new partner. Mm-hmm. And they go into commercial. They come out of commercial.
But the thing that's important here is right before commercial. Nonverbal is important. And but we all know as challenge fans and people that watch it, and I shouldn't say all because we have some that are brand new to it, but we knew the background, what it was going to be Amber B. Before you go to it, whenever it is, Fessy is not impressed.
Oh, yeah.
The nonverbal. So then they come back from commercial. Yeah.
Yeah, when she's there.
He turns. Before they go commercial, everyone's clapping. He turns. And then, like you said, they go to commercial break. And then they come back.
Just that awesome car, whatever kind it is, comes up the runway. They've got this cool, happy hip-hop kind of song playing. We see our beautiful, awesome Amber B. Let's drop the B. She's the only Amber now.
Yeah.
Trying to work on that. everyone's cheering, and she's walking down like it's a runway. Like it was so good. I was so excited. I'm like, yes. And honestly, her with Josh, I was like, okay, I think this could work.
Agreed.
But then you're right. Then, hey, Amber's here, yay. And Fessy is very obviously like going like this. He is not looking forward to this because he knows that there's going to be a confrontation. Yeah. He knows that things from last season are going to come up. He didn't leave things right with her. And this is not a good place for him to be in with her there.
Did you realize there was beef between them? Because I didn't know.
Yeah, last season.
I guess I didn't carry with me over to this.
Well, because remember she was rolling with all the Big Brother people.
I understand
and then we see that.
But I didn't see it like. I didn't see why he was just kind of like rolling his eyes like he wasn't happy about it. That's all.
Right.
And then they do tell the story more in this episode, but I wasn't like, it's not like automatically I was like, oh, ding, 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 rivals coming up,
Right.
So, but now
it
looks like
all
rivals.
That.
Yeah.
So Fessy and Esther then win.
Yeah.
And they had, second place was Casey and Emmanuel. They had 28 gems, and Fessy and Esther had 30.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, my thought process is Fessy won.
Yeah.
And this could mean all kinds of different things. But the way him and Esther were, like, it was really cute. Like, she jumps up into his arms, like it's like the Bachelorette, and they're like on a date, and like it's like so cute. I love Esther. She has endeared me. I find her to be a good person, addition to the challenge. Yeah, I'm a big fan of her so far.
I think she will. At first, when you mentioned that in my head, I'm like, I don't know, whatever. And I don't want to get too far into deliberations without getting there with you. But I see your point. I really do. Okay?
Good.
Yeah.
Well, hey.
Yeah.
Then Amber and Josh are talking. Josh is trying to like, hey, what's going on? Like Fessy's my guy. You still have problems with her. Then she goes into her interview and, we get that backstory where she's like, I watched it back and, it just didn't sit right with her. She's, her feelings were hurt. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like, girl, you won. So.
Yeah, I don't really think there's any type of reason
you ended up
to have
with CT
any problem
and you
whatsoever.
won.
Like that,
so
you weren't at the top of their totem pole. Like, let it go.
Right. Like, looking back on that final, who do you want as a partner? You want Fessy as a partner? You want CT as a partner? CT doing the 2-for-1 Bloody Marys. Fessy like choosing not to eat. Yeah, come on.
It's one of those things. Josh is making a good point, but it's also Josh. So it's like no matter what he says, the guy's not much of a motivator. Don't think Josh could convince me to pick up $100 bill off the street, type of thing. So she's like, oh, but I'm still hurt, and he's like, but we need to work together. And she's like, I'm all right. Yeah.
Then we go to, a little party. It looks like they're going to go to a bar. They're like, you see like the city a little bit, but then when we get in there, it looks like one of those created bars. It's got like the challenge on the TV screens. And I'm like, oh,
yeah,
but at least they're doing, something. So, they're doing their little, partying. Amanda and Fessy are together, and, Fessy's being all like needy. He's like, did you think I did a good job today?
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, yes, you did. And she like kisses him on the cheek. And he calls it out. He says that word that we love so much that was, I think, was it Cara Maria created that word?
I believe so.
He says, this is, this classic politicking.
Yep. Classic politicking 101 is what he says. And again, that's the Fessy side of me that I'm not going to be a fan of, that I was like, dude, you're still only 3 seasons in. You can't throw this out yet, but he's a veteran
Absolutely
or whatever
right.
else. And he's just saying it just to say it. And it's a term that we all know.
Love that word.
And he's trying to use it to his advantage to endear himself to the challenge fans. He knows what he's doing.
Amanda's also not dumb. Then it goes to her interview, and she's like, I like him, but I'm here for the money, so let's figure this out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, all right. Well, okay. Then we get into this drama with Ashley and Nellie and Berna.
Yep.
So Ashley then says, oh my God, I caught feelings for Nellie. it's been foreshadowed that, this girl gets a little bit emotional when she has feelings. She has feelings. He starts kind of cozying up to Berna a little bit. And, essentially, Ashley loses her mind. But the thing that I found the most crazy about all this is in episode 1, we see Nellie and Ashley together. And he says something along the lines to Ashley of, I don't like you for what you look like. I like you for the person you are. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
He said the same thing to Berna.
That's right. Yeah.
And the night before, he was in Ashley's bed.
Yes.
Like, gross, man. Like, come on. But, here's the deal. Anyone who's ever, heard of the term friends with benefits knows it doesn't work. Someone has feelings. Someone gets upset. It doesn't work out. Like, this is not brand new information. Doesn't mean it doesn't suck and it doesn't hurt and stuff, but you're playing with fire here. You're gonna get burned.
It was
and
something
she did.
else. Yes, and coming back, and this is where you get the title of the episode, Bertha. Because they're talking and he's trying to calm her down and he's telling her whatever else, and his one-on-ones basically with the production is let's be honest here, Ashley, the only reason you started saying the feelings was when I was showing attention to Bertha. So
could be. Yeah. And then Devin says, let's drop the Millionaire Mitchell thing. And at that point I think he's going to say, okay, we're back to Smashley, how she kind of like rebranded herself. And he goes, Ashley Meltdown Mitchell.
Yep.
And she did.
Well, so Devin actually bookends this entire situation because he started off, because Ashley says to Emmy when she's like, I'm going to be targeted, she's like, just go out tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's going to have a good time.
Oh, my God, I forgot.
And someone's going to get out of line and be crazy or whatever else. And I don't have the exact quote, but then that's when Devin says, cue Ashley going out tonight, gonna be crazy and create havoc.
God, he called it. And they're all laughing. It's cute.
So he basically bookends the entire segment with his little comments. So
Meltdown Mitchell.
Yep.
Oh,
because she has more meltdowns than she has cash. Bingo.
Oh, it was such a good line.
Yeah, great line.
That's a clever guy, man.
Yep.
And they're still friends. Like he can say all these things and it's fine, which I appreciate that about him. So then we go into deliberation.
Okay.
So the agency, which is Fessy and Esther, are sitting there, and everybody has to come up with who we're gonna vote in.
All right. You take it from here, and I'll fill in what I think what's going on.
Josh right away says, Kels, you're working with other people. I don't trust you. That's it.
This is the thing where we talked early in the episode when Josh is throwing out Kel's name, but I really, truly believe he's doing Fessy's dirty work because Fessy at the party the night before had tried to talk to Kels and said, like, hey, I'm a strong competitor. You're a strong competitor. How about we not go against each other? And Kel's like, that never works out.
Right.
Any
Kels
agreement
is not stupid.
Because he goes, no matter what, I'm not going to trust you and you're not going to trust me, even though we say we're not going to go with each other. And he's like, but just say we're not going to go after each other. And Kels goes, it's too early to rock the boat. Why don't we just ride the wave? Which I think the greatest line of the episode. I was just floored by it because he goes, right now, and that's what he's trying to say. Right now, we don't need to go against each other. Let's just ride the wave. And that's where I think Fessy was like, wait, this guy doesn't want to be aligned with me? I'm Fessy. And so I think more it was he kind of has Josh do his dirty work. And Josh is pointing Kels out and saying that they all know it. Like all the veterans know it, that he didn't make these agreements, try to make these alliances and say like, let's get the veterans out. And they're all like, Josh is half smirking, Fessy's smirking, and Kels is like, no, I didn't do this. Did I ask you? Did I ask you? Did I ask you?
And everyone's like, nah.
Yeah. And the veterans, and Nani's just like, mm-mm. And then they're like, well, it happened, and I said so.
Well, and then he said something kind of insulting Josh's intelligence. Something along the lines of, look, like, if I'm working on something and you wouldn't be the one to figure it out. Like, it'd be somebody else, which I thought that was pretty good, too.
We can agree. Kels is an athlete.
Yes.
Physical specimen.
Likable,
class act.
Yes.
He needs to slam his hand down and become violent at that time, verbally violent, and be like, wrong, wrong, wrong. You're calling me out, I'm calling you out. And that's when you go around and you say to all the rookies, if you don't see what is going on, you're out of your minds. We need to know this right now in front of everybody, not when we're in corners in bedrooms here or whatever else. Everybody here needs to be told, this is what's happening.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
Well, and this is someone who's coming out of like a dating show. So he doesn't have that like Survivor or Big Brother background. So he is kind of just choosing to be a class act, you know. But I think that you're absolutely right. That is kind of what sealed the deal for him, because he didn't point anybody else out. He didn't, you know, he's like, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. Obviously, this is a lie, but clearly this is happening, and I'm not going to really do anything to stop it. Which, yeah, that is kind of a bummer.
And then Devin kind of says, all right, Kels, you were thrown out. Anything else, but we don't get anything else. And this would be this will be the only thing out of this episode where there is a lull in production, television quality, everything else, because we don't get to see anything else in Deliberation.
Well, and we had episode 1, the Deliberation was like fireworks. This one was kind of like a sparkler. like it was just kind of like a dud. Like there wasn't.
Now, let me ask you, because we talked about Esther, though. What did you think of her little speech?
In the Deliberation. Okay. So she's actually trying to lead it the direction that you're speaking about. Yes. You know, she says, you know, look, like, we're all going to have to compete. That's what we're here for. You know, go big or go home. Like, let's do this. And everybody, like, cheers, you know. But nobody does anything. They all still vote for Kels and Tracy. Oh, and then Tracy, who we saw like kind of for the first time tonight. Yeah. You know, we see her, you know, with Michelle, and Michelle's like, hey, sorry, stole your partner, you know. And then, you know, we see her here, and she's kind of guilty by association because Kels is her partner. Yeah. And her voice kind of cracks, and she's just like, I just really want to be here, and I want to prove myself. Like, please don't vote me in. You know, realistically, she actually fought harder to not get voted in than Kels did.
True. Yeah.
But it made me so sad. I'm like, this poor girl. she's in a bad spot. She's in a bad spot.
Right away it was just like, win or lose or whatever else, you're going back in eventually at something. Like they're just.
Oh well, yeah. And as a rookie, that's what's going to happen. It's just what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wrote, you know, Fester put, you know, said go big or go home. Kels, I put likable AF because he just is, and you just like him. There's nothing to be said about it other than, you know, he was somebody I really enjoyed. Then we have this conversation between Fessy and Josh talking about, okay, so we know Kels and Tracy are going in. Who are we going to put in against them? Mm-hmm. And Fessy kind of takes a second. And when he takes that pause, Josh knows exactly what he means. He's like, you want Amber. And Josh is like, no. Like, you're going to, like, seriously, like, you're going to ruin my game. Like, you're going to ruin my game. Because that's his partner.
Yeah.
But, you know, we know with the way that the eliminations are working this season, it doesn't mean he's getting voted in.
No.
It just means, you know, his partner who he likes is going to be voted in. And Josh is like, look, you know, you're going to screw up my game. And he's like, she's going to come after me. And he's like, no, she's not. She's good. You know, Big Brother peeps, you know. So, yeah, that's not over between those two for sure. That's definitely boiling. They're foreshadowing some stuff going down between the two of them. So we get into the lair.
Yeah.
And it's raining. Kels looks ready.
Yep.
He is ready. Like, he's doing it. And then they vote in, so it's Kels and Tracy, and then they vote in Emmy and Ed. And Emmy is upset.
Yeah.
She, you know, just kind of feels betrayed, but then, you know, looking at her performance in the challenge, I could understand why she would be voted in. She's crying. She says it reminds her of her, you know, difficult childhood. And, you know, she's like, Mr. TJ, like, this is just awful, you know. Then they say, oh, and Ed. And Ed's like, I knew this was going to happen. This is going to be great. I'm here to compete. And it was, like, so cute.
Yeah, you have two sides to it because you have Emmy and her snakes comments.
Oh, yeah. That was something I wrote down. It's like, it could be a drinking game. Like, how many times people said someone was a snake this episode?
And what
at least 5 or 6.
What she really wanted is like, just tell me I'm going in.
For
okay?
sure.
And then Ed
Which that's kind of been a running theme through the show. Like, people just want to know they're going in.
Kells,
They want the heads up.
We've already said he's a physical specimen. He's an athlete. Probably, I would, off the top of my head, listed at probably 6'2".
Yeah, he's
you
tall.
know. And then you got Ed, who's probably, I would say
5'8".
5'8", 5'10", right around there. But then Ed says, "Makes sense to me." 2 of the biggest dudes in the house, and that's when he's endearing to you because you're like Ed knows how to hit the comedic points and lighten up the mood.
Oh my God, yeah. You're right. He did. He instantly, because she was so upset. And, he's going to be working with her in this elimination. So it's like right away with the comedy, the jokes, and it does. I felt like it eased her.
Absolutely.
So they start this elimination. It's called flipping agents. Do you want to explain how that works? Because it was kind of, I don't know. It was really cool. I liked it a lot.
An agent. They have that you can pick which one, male or female, it's going to be done. They both pick the female to be laying down, and what she does, she gets flipped over. So she's laying down on her back, and then she flips over so that she's facing down, and they use a magnet to pick up these blocks.
And the magnet's on a long rope.
Yes, and the blocks are all the way down, and there's actually only on 2 sides of a dice, we'll say. And well, it is not. We'll say it is. So then they have to pull it up, and then they have to flip them back over, and then they'll pick it up. Now they're not allowed to make the pieces together until both of them get all 12 pieces. Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many times Emmy said, "Wait," even though she was still getting it. I don't know, but she did it a lot, and they get a nice little flow to them.
Yeah.
And
Ed is so encouraging.
Yes.
He is so encouraging. That's a partner I would want.
And this is when Kells loses it a little bit, his coolness, because he's trying to talk to Tracy, and Tracy's not getting too excited about it like the way he's talking to her, but they're trying and get there, and they get a little bit behind. And like you said, Ed is very much the cheerleader through it. Like, you got this. They've got one more piece left. She struggles.
Tracy dropped hers a couple times,
but
too.
this was a great
It was close.
challenge. I mean, great layer, I guess you'd say, between 2 competitors. Like, this is the one where I was, like, in full transparency, we were going to watch this together. But I was at home, and I was going to leave earlier, but I couldn't leave. I could not leave, and I was going to have whoever
It was
watching
exciting.
at home to do it. And so that they finally got a piece up there, and you've got Devin saying it's a map of the world, and they're in the middle of it, and Ed stops, turns to Devin, and goes, "I know it's a map of the world." Like, what's going on with this guy? He's fighting for his time, and he's like, "I know, Devin," and it's like, "No,
cute.
dummy!" Like, and it's crazy to me about how I just wanted to see it in real time. How's that?
Right. Yeah, like, how many minutes was it actually total?
There's no way that should take more than a minute to put a map of the world together by 12 pieces.
Absolutely not, no. But I mean, like, from start to finish, because, there were multiple times. I mean, definitely probably 15 times at least with the back and forth.
Okay,
part.
I'm talking about once you get all the 12 pieces up there.
Yeah.
This should take you less than a minute to put a map of the world together, unless we failed
He's
everything.
Like, I got time to yell.
Yeah. He was like, and Devin just laughing about it. So,
that was great.
They end up winning, and a big victory for them.
And it went to a commercial break in the middle of it, and I remember I was so torn by who I wanted to win. I was loving the dynamic of Ed and Emmy, but I just had this in my heart. I'm like, but that means Kells has to go home.
Yep.
Like, I was so torn. But then obviously Ed and Emmy win, and she is emotional, very excited.
Yeah.
By the way, I have this thing with grown women wearing full pigtails.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not into it.
Okay.
There's just something about it. So when it goes to her in the interview, when she's got the pigtails, it's
a snakes, and it's blue hair.
And it's, I mean, the color isn't so bad to me, but it's the pigtails.
To me,
I love a space bun. That's cute. But something about grown women and pigtails, I just, so it's like she can do all these things that I like, and then she goes to the interview and she's got the pigtails, and I'm like, I don't know. It's weird. I have a
How about
block.
we start with someone covered in tattoos and a grill, and then being like, "This reminds me of my childhood, and I can't handle snakes." And all of a sudden, you want to cower into a corner when you're not really that tough anymore, or whatever else, and you're a rapper and R&B singer. Like, so this whole thing's a facade. So I'm like, maybe that's it for me.
And I'm like, pigtails.
Yeah, and then I'm like, hey, anything that you're on the opposite side of her, I'll take. I'm like, yes, be on the opposite side of Emmy. And don't get me wrong,
She's very theatrical
during
too.
the challenge. I was like, I think, did she win this episode for me? And I was like, I'm not letting her win the episode. Yeah.
No. So then obviously Ed and Emmy win. TJ says, ends your time here. Take care again. So I think he's really holding out until later with the phrases. Because like with a Kels, I'd be like, okay, I want to see you back.
I've been waiting for this. Tracy's not coming back.
No.
Kels is coming back.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
We will do this in 2 more seasons from now, and it will take Kels that long to finally unleash. He will go through the same thing next year where they just like, he's a good guy, and we can throw Kels in. He won't say anything. He won't rock the boat. He'll ride the wave. And then 2 seasons from now, we'll finally be sitting here, and then we'll go, he did it. He finally got it. The switch went, and he goes, not you, not you, not you. You're not doing this again. You're not doing. I'm here to win this time. Kels will be back.
I think absolutely, and you are right about that. Like, it's his first season. He is concerned about how he's being portrayed. He doesn't want to be, the hot-headed guy. He's like, that's not the vibe I want to get off or give off. And yeah, so he's very calculated on making sure he's in charge of his emotions. But you're right. He's going to get screwed over a couple more times, and he's like, I'm done. I'm a good competitor. We're done here.
Yeah. That's the way I see it. That's the way I see it happening. He's
just like how Leroy had enough.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Like he was like, I've been nice too long. Like, but I think with Kels, it'll be a shorter period of time.
That's exactly the way I see it too. Yeah, he'll expedite it in some way. Yep.
Oh, and when Fessy's voting his people in, he says, I have this opportunity to make a big move, and I'm gullible as heck, and I stood up and I'm like, oh God, is he gonna put CT in? Because that's like my nightmare. And he's like, or I have this opportunity to, what is it? What did he say? Like, build trust.
Build trust. Yep.
So he's building that trust. Then, TJ says goodbye, and it goes to Fessy, and he's like, that's how you execute a plan.
Okay. Here's the thing about Fessy in this episode. You mentioned it earlier in the pod. You said, I think the producers are really trying to build him up to be a good guy.
And again, I'm a gullible viewer. I'm starting to kind of be on that brink of like, maybe I give this guy another chance, which is crazy because I came into the season like I see him and I see red.
Okay. Fessy comes from the world of Big Brother, where the majority of the writers and producers of Big Brother come from the WWE. They know how to write.
Oh, so he's being, what is that, heel?
Yes. They know how to write either the way or to make post-production a way to make him look good or bad depending on the week in Big Brother. He thinks in his confessionals he'll be able to do it. There is no hiding at all that Fessy is a heel in real life. So they can sit there and make this round thing, and that's great. That's his religion, and that is something else. That doesn't make you who you are internally just because of your religion. There's plenty of people that are overly religious that aren't good people.
Yeah.
All right? So they are not going to hide that. And MTV, although under Viacom with CBS and everything else,
Paramount or whatever,
they're not the same production writers or whatever else. You can't hide that Fessy really is a sucky person, to use your words. And it's going to happen. It is going to happen, and sorry it didn't happen on episode 2. Might be 3, might be 6. I don't know, but he's going to do it, period.
Yeah.
It's going to be about Fessy.
They're toying with me. They're toying with me, and I'm like...
Do not take the bait for just those,
I know. I'm like,
one time
they're hanging it in front of me, and I'm like,
no.
Maybe he's gotten better.
No.
I'm like, that girl. Ew, I'm that girl. He'll change.
Oh, no. Yeah. Not one bit. Yeah.
So then we've got some partner swapping. They say, hey, Ed and Emmy are like, we're, love her. She's great, but we're switching partners.
And why is this? Because the rookies are getting smart enough to know we can't be partners.
Yeah, because we're gonna. It's
every
big
time
target. Big
we're gonna
target.
go in there. And Ed was good, and Emmy was good, and everyone's just kind of like, yeah. And then you get Ed picks Tori.
Ed picks Tori, which I said it right before he did it. I was like, Tori.
Okay. And
He
Emmy
did it. That's a great partner to pick. Emmy picks Devin. Devin's like most eligible bachelor kind of situation here.
Smart move.
Yeah.
Because he's going to do the
He's
politicking
smart.
behind the scenes to keep her out. Unless they lose a challenge, he's going to still work his way to be like, hey, you're not going to... Well,
And
the only
even
way they're going
though-
to do is they're going to get thrown in by the agency, not get voted in. How's
Right.
that?
Right.
Yeah.
And, even though Devin can be kind of playfully jerky, I would say, I've seen him be a good encourager to a partner. So I think someone like Emmy, he might be okay with for a challenge or two.
Sure.
So we'll see what happens with that. And then that means Coriel and Michelle are together. That's going to be a good one.
That's going to be a good one. Unfortunately, they'll be thrown
Rookies.
in. They'll be thrown in because they're going to say you're just way too strong, and that's the way it works. Somebody's going to listen. These rookies are way too smart. This is now a thing.
Except for Argabo.
Yes, except for exactly. And Huey is it?
Right. Yeah.
But Ashley she'll teach
They'll
him
be
along
gone.
the way.
Yeah.
But for as much as we saw the before the first episode, them being like, and you could pick out like, oh yeah, I became a fan. That would be your the hyena girl.
Bettina.
Bettina, but they know how this is not going to last long. The rookies are going to rise up. I can just feel it. I've watched way too much of this show, Big Brother, whatever else.
Yeah.
They're smarter than they used to be. They're going to start looking at it and go, wait a minute.
Well, yeah, they're coming in, much more calculated, realizing that it's not just a vacation. We're here, we're serious, let's win some money, and we're going to have to think this through.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. So we've got some of our categories to do. Also, Josh hasn't cried yet, so I'm losing that race. I said episode 2.5. Also, my friend Sherry sent me a message after she watched our podcast. She said she thinks it's episode 6 for Josh crying.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Which I think you're like 7.5.
I think, I had it much higher because I was like, he has to, there's going to be a relationship he has to develop.
There's
and
gonna
then
be a
feel
fight
like somebody
soon.
doesn't do him right in the relationships that he's probably put more time into than anybody else in the world has ever put into a relationship in their life. Yeah. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, we'll see. So, who won the episode?
It's a great question.
I don't have one right in my mind at this moment. There was one or two originally, but now my mind is going to Ed.
Ed's up there, easily.
I originally was thinking Kel's the whole time, but then obviously he lost. So it's like you can't win the episode if you lost the elimination.
I will say I walked out not disliking Emmy as much, so I thought maybe I was leaning that way. Ed, definitely. I think there's going to be more challenge fans out there that are not maybe last week or whatever else that are Googling Ed the Circle who didn't watch Circle, which I did because I watched.
Same,
yeah.
me too.
So
we're reality TV junkies.
yeah, and quietly, I'm sorry, Devin was good in this episode. The idea that he got drafted.
Just narrating.
Yeah, but he got drafted for the second week in a row, got picked up.
Which, how much of your, good does that make you feel?
It wasn't just the one-on-one confessionals narrating. It is him actually saying out loud, calling Ashley, looking out ahead of time, everything else, doing the thing, cutting the head off the snake, like encouraging Josh to do Fessy's work so that he doesn't get any blood on his hands.
Oh, you're right.
It's
he was
really
kind of a
during-
master. Because
yeah,
when they're playing chess.
yeah.
Which wasn't that fun.
It
Like,
is
like
Ed.
double
I
entendre.
co-sign Ed 100%, but don't sleep on Devin in this episode. It was not the usual boisterous, I'm going to be in your face, make you laugh, and you're going to talk about it later, like water cooler talk, like we would have her text, be like, can you believe Devin said this, whatever. But it's very subtle is what he did today tonight to put himself in the running for honorable mention to win this episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of another honorable mention, Esther.
Oh, that is a great call. 100%.
I didn't know much about her, saw very little of her in the first episode. She really came out of her shell this episode. She's charming. Obviously they won the elimination. She had that really good line about go big or go home.
Well,
so she's one to watch for sure.
There's one more line that she had that she ended with in that thing, and that was, keep in mind, I'm the one sending you in, and I don't want to see you come back in. Meaning,
that was
like, I'm sending you in to send you home.
Mic drop.
And that's where I was like, oh dang, and they kind of like, their reaction was like, Esther, good speech, and I was like, no, I don't think you get it.
No, she's like, I'm coming for you.
Yeah, I don't think you get it. I'm sending you in to lose. Like that was the thing. So I was like,
you're right.
Yeah. So I did. That's what I liked about it, and
that's not what happened.
No, it isn't. But sorry, Emmy's vengeance isn't going to be. There's no wrath there. They deliberated. They talked about it, and they're probably like, if she comes back, I'll do whatever. But the speech itself, she could be in that situation again with Fessy, and now that's already in the back of your head. Like, watch what you're saying in deliberation, because Esther
and
says,
she's a Big Brother person, right?
She was Nigeria.
Yeah, Big Brother Nigeria.
Or was it Nigeria? Survivor Nigeria. Yeah, I think it was Survivor Nigeria.
So she knows what she's doing. She's not.
Yes.
This is not her first rodeo. Who lost the episode?
It's Fessy for me. I'm dead serious. Like, as much as you don't realize it, he can't get out of his own way. Production can't save him. It is 100% Fessy for me, and that's what we talked about just less than 5 minutes ago. I looked at it and I was like, they cannot produce this and edit it in another way. It's Fessy, and they're trying, because you even said when we started the podcast, like, this is good, the Ramadan thing. It's going to be consistently this way. He can't get out of his own way.
He can only pretend for so long.
This will be why you have to get over the hump of Corey and Nelson as challenge fans, because for a while they would lose episodes just because they can't stop. Now they're veterans and they know what they're doing, and Nelson hasn't done yet what he normally does and says something rude to a female and gives a terrible
Probably
apology.
next week.
Probably. But
Ashley,
Corey hasn't done anything. Corey's been out of his way. You can see, look at Corey's nonverbal. He wants to say something, but he's like, I'm not going to say anything this time. I know, it's
like, did
Corey's
he take
nonverbal.
that silence retreat?
Yeah,
exactly. He's gotten pretty darn good too. Kyle lost for me because we didn't see him, and it was so sad. Last week I was kind of upset because we didn't see our friend Josh. Saw lots of Josh this episode, but Kyle was just nowhere to be found, and an episode without Kyle, even though it was a fantastic episode, it made me sad that we didn't get to see him.
They definitely flirted with that when the Fessy was like, I could take out anyone, and they pan, and Kyle's like right in the middle, and I was like, oh boy, now we're going to get
That's
Kyle.
That's what you were thinking?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I was thinking CT.
I definitely thought CT, but the one in the middle was Kyle, and I was like, uh-oh.
And he's all like...
Yeah.
Cringeworthy moment?
It's Ashley, right?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
The Bertha,
yeah.
Oh my God. And Berna's like, look, like, I'm not trying to start any trouble. Yeah. She's like, whoa. She's like, I just like held this guy's hand, and this chick's like losing her mind. Like, I don't want any of this. And then of course she gets nervous. She's like, okay, this is putting a target on my back. Like,
I'm not going to ever claim to be a saint, so I'm going to be completely honest and been like, I've been in situations where out of nowhere, another female has said, go with your girlfriend, and you're looking at her like, my girlfriend? Like, yeah, just go with your girlfriend. Go over there. Like, I'm just being polite. What did I do here? And like, that's your girlfriend now. Like, and so it's the only time I've been like, all right, Nelly, I feel bad for you right now. She's she's the one that's too hot to handle. So it's Ashley's the most cringeworthy, easily.
Absolutely. Oof. I don't see that improving. It's just going to get worse.
But, was there another one? I just think the other one was the deliberation. That's all. Only because I just wanted to hear more. It wasn't cringeworthy, so it's an honorable mention, but it's not even close to Ashley at all. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Who are we rooting for? Who do we think's going to be some contenders?
Okay. Who are we rooting for now? Because we have three new teams. Obviously Ed and Tori, and you
CT and Berna.
Yeah.
Kind of rooting for Josh and Amber.
Okay.
Just because I love Amber.
Yeah,
I really liked her. She kicked butt her rookie season.
I think...
And she's good people. She just seems like good people.
I think if you go through who got the best edit, it was Amber for this episode. So that makes you want to be part of that and be like, yes, I think, because now she's got a target on her back, which was supposedly in her own alliance.
Right.
So that's, you could root for her. I'm not going to root for Josh. Not my thing.
I know. I'm kind of teeter-tottering here.
Ed and Tori are up there. They're high. CT and Berna are up there, definitely.
Manuel and Casey. That's going to be a good group for sure.
And that's pretty much where I'm at right now.
There's a lot of groups in this middle that we just don't know.
Yeah.
So, we'll find out. Next week looks like they're jumping off some rocks.
Okay.
And they're swimming in this cave, and you see lots of people all bloody. So that one, I'm not a huge water person. I legit looked at that preview, and I said, that's a big nope for me.
I'm so with you. Because you're going to find that random person's like, I don't like to swim, or I was, when I was like 3, I was in water. And you're like,
accident or something.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, like this again. And then
I think swimming is necessary. I think that is a very good, something for them to do in a challenge. But this looks dangerous.
This is the one that someone's going to quit, and TJ's going to be, you're quitting on this. You're going to find the, I don't like quitters, this type of one. And someone's going to.
I think I think it's Amanda. She's all bloody.
I just think this will be the thing. And then Deliberations, someone will be like, well, I don't like to swim, and they're like, well, but you quit. And they'll say, like, I shouldn't be thrown in, though. And maybe this will be the beginning of the cracks in the Veteran Alliance,
Absolutely.
the Super Alliance. So,
Josh has actually proven to be a pretty good swimmer, so I'm curious how that's going to go. That's actually one thing that he can be pretty decent at.
Okay. Is that because he hung out with Wes? I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah, but it will come up somewhere. Somebody will have some type of backstory about not being a strong swimmer.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Oh, for sure. So that's what we got for next week.
It was a great episode, and
freaking awesome episode.
And it couldn't be happier to do it right away. Do this podcast right away with you. So because I think this is one of those things that instead of texting afterwards, we get to automatically take that high and talk about it. So it was great. So I hope that next week is going to be great, even though it's not what we look like one of our favorite challenges, and we're already recklessly speculating about what it's going to be like. I hope the exact same thing happens next week, that we can continue to do
all the good stuff.
And all the things we talked about this week kind of flipped, that we're like, oh no, this person's got a bad edit now. Or this
Storm's a brewing. I think that we're going to see a fight.
Oh, yeah. Something's happening soon. All right.
Follow us on Twitter, Final Alliance 1, on Instagram, Final Alliance, wherever you find your podcasts.
Yeah. Spotify, Apple, all those Anchor. We're all over the place. And make sure to give a review, like us, follow us on, like you said, on social media, but give a review, all that fun stuff. And if there's anything you want us to ever talk about, any categories or anything like that, or if there's something you think we missed, go ahead and tell us. We'll definitely, we could use that as well. So, yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's it for the night.
What a show.
What a show. Episode 3 coming up.